Have you ever felt like your ears are, playing tricks on you? Well, today, we're grabbing our detective hats because we're about to dive into a fascinating linguistic mystery, the case of the sound-alike words. Let's crack this code together. So, this quote really gets to the heart of the puzzle we're trying to solve today. You've got these words that sound completely identical, but when you write them down, they mean totally different things. It's this classic case of linguistic confusion. So, how does that even happen, and why? All right, let's start the investigation.
Okay, first things first, in any good mystery, you got to identify the culprits. So let's put a name to these linguistic tricksters and figure out their signature move.
And there it is. The official term is homophones. The key thing to remember is that these words are absolute masters of disguise. They sound exactly the same to our ears, but their spelling and their meaning totally different. And that's where all the confusion starts.
So let's take a look at the usual suspects. This lineup right here features the most common offenders, the ones that trip up even the best of us. You've got the infamous there, and there trio. Then there's the classic to, and to mix-up, and of course the age-old case of your versus your. Just getting familiar with these guys is really the first step to cracking the case.
So now that we've identified our suspects, a good detective always has to ask, what's the motive here? I mean, where did these sound-alikes even come from in the first place? It's time to dig into their backstory.
And that leads us to this really big question. Why does English even have these confusing words? It seems, kind of inefficient, right? You have to wonder, is this just some kind of weird flaw in the language? Or is there a real historical reason behind this whole mix-up?
Well, the answer lies in what you could basically call a historical soup. See, English isn't just one single pure language. Over hundreds and hundreds of years, it borrowed and absorbed words from all over the place, from Anglo-Saxons, Old Norse, French, and Latin. It's a true linguistic melting pot with ingredients from all over Europe.
So get this, these words aren't actually mistakes. They're more like echoes of history. As all these different languages crashed into each other, some words just happen to end up sounding the same purely by coincidence. Think about to and two. The word to comes from an Old English word toi, which meant the number. But to comes from a totally different Old English word to, which was a preposition. They started in different places, but over time their pronunciations just merged. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, so we know who our suspects are, and we know where they came from. Now for the really crucial part. How do we crack the code when we run into one of these tricksters out in the wild? Turns out, there's a method to solve this mystery every single time.
And here it is. This is the single most powerful tool in your entire detective kit. It's not about memorizing a million different rules. The master key, the secret weapon, is context. The real meaning of a word is always revealed by the company it keeps.
So how do we actually use this master key?
Well, it's a pretty simple three-step process. First, just scan the words around it for clues. Second, figure out who or what the sentence is about. And third, really understand the action that's happening. You put those three things together, and they will always point you to the right word.
Just look at this sentence. Your brain doesn't even have to think about it. You instantly know that to means the number because it's followed by cookies. And you know that to means also because of where it is at the end of the sentence. It's amazing. Your brain is already using context to solve this mystery without you even realizing it.
But before we close the case, any good detective always checks for accomplices. And it turns out, homophones have some tricky relatives called homonyms. And you know what? It's really crucial to know the difference.
So here's the key difference, and it really just comes down to the spelling. Homophones, like C and C, they always have different spellings. Homonyms, though, are a little different. They often have the exact same spelling, but different meanings, like a bat the animal and a baseball bat. It's a subtle distinction, but it's a really important one.
So we've looked at the evidence, we've learned the techniques. Now I want to leave you with one final, really powerful strategy that's going to turn you from just a detective into a true homophone master.
Okay, this is a fantastic mental trick. You build what are called visual anchors. So when you need to spell knight, picture that silent K as part of his armor or his shield. For knight, imagine the silent GH are like the quiet stars in the sky. For flower, see the R in the word as part of pouring it out of the bag. These little mental pictures work like secret clues that lock the correct spelling right into your memory.
And that's really the final verdict here. Mastering homophones, it's not just some boring grammar lesson. It actually teaches us something much bigger, the importance of looking beyond the surface, of listening carefully, and always seeking context to find out the true meaning of what's right in front of us.
So, as we close this case file, I'm going to leave you with this thought. The world is absolutely full of things that can be easily misunderstood. So keep that detective mind sharp. Always look for the context, and you'll be ready to find the truth. Thanks so much for joining me on this investigation.